David Goodall, who made headlines for a controversial campaign to end his life by assisted suicide, has died today. He was 104 years old. The Australian scientist traveled to Switzerland to utilize the nation's liberal assisted suicide laws and end his life legally. He was not terminally ill, but said his quality of life had greatly deteriorated over the last year. He spoke at a press conference just a day before he died.
One wants to be free to choose the death when the death is the appropriate time. I no longer want to continue life. I am happy to pass to have the chance tomorrow to end it.
Mr. Goodall died by lethal injection under the supervision of doctors while listening to Beethoven's Ode to Joy. This case has given rise to renewed debate over a person's right to die. Joining me now to talk more about this controversial subject is Dr. Nancy Preston. She's a senior lecturer in the International Observatory on the End-of-Life Care at Lancaster University in England. So, Nancy, David Goodall says he knew he wanted to die for a while now, and people from all over the world gave their support both emotionally and financially, but not everyone was supportive. So, explain some of the concerns Right to Die critics have.
I think it's about, is it about somebody's choice? Is it an individual act, or is this an act that happens in society? So there's an impact on the healthcare system, there's an impact on those who are left behind, the bereaved. And what we don't always consider is what these wider implications are. And so hence people sometimes think maybe we shouldn't go ahead with assisted dying.
So Switzerland has some of the more liberal assisted suicide laws around the world. It even provides free death services to citizens under certain circumstances. Explain why it's more widely accepted there.
I think we have very different types of societies, particularly in the Netherlands, where we have legalised euthanasia and assisted suicide, physician-assisted suicide. And it's about perhaps what becomes the norm in a society. So when it's legalised in places like the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, it becomes much more part of an open culture and how people think about death and dying. Whereas in other cultures, it's very much taking a more natural approach to death and allowing nature to take its course.
Dr. Preston, explain the difference between euthanasia and assisted suicide.
So euthanasia is where the doctor administers a lethal injection, whereas in Switzerland that is illegal. And all you can do in Switzerland is assist someone to die. So a doctor may prescribe a drug for someone, they may say someone is competent to make that decision, but they wouldn't be present at the act in Switzerland, and they would allow the person to take the lethal concoction. Now they're kind of stretching the law a bit in Switzerland. Sometimes they set up an infusion, and perhaps in this case he opened up the valve and allowed the concoction to enter into his veins, but the doctor can't directly inject into their veins.
So, Dr. Preston, in the case of Mr. Goodall, it really is, and in all cases of assisted suicide, it really is that one individual who decides that they want to end their life and they carry out that act themselves.
Yeah, that's right. They would ingest the drug themselves, whereas in euthanasia, the doctor would do the injection for them, and the doctor obviously would need to be present.
So euthanasia tourism has been on the rise over the past several years. What impact could that have on healthcare systems worldwide?
I think the biggest issue is for the Swiss population. They don't want to be known for euthanasia tourism. It's not something a country wants to be known about. There are jokes about Zurich and places like that. Most countries won't allow it unless you've been a citizen for at least a few days or weeks. Switzerland is unusual in that it will allow it.
So, final question, I guess, Dr. Preston, is this an issue of morality or is this an issue of legality? Or neither?
I think it's probably both. Well, maybe both, but I think it's also thinking about what healthcare system do we want. So in Switzerland, you would not get this happening in the hospitals. They will discharge you to Right to Die associations or the home, because most doctors find this really difficult and really hard to work with, even in countries where it's legal. So I think we need to think about what is the greater impact on a healthcare system if it is introduced, or is this a civil choice, a choice a person makes outside of healthcare?
Dr. Nancy Preston, thank you very much. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.